extraordinary third day of this final Test match, although, of course, in effect, it's the first. Has seen 17 wickets fall with South Africa bowled out. They were put into bat on Thursday, and of course, yesterday was postponed entirely. Thursday was washed out entirely. And after a lot of deliberation, the decision was taken yesterday that the game should go ahead. And that was a bold decision by the cricket authorities. They needed the approval and support of the Duchy of Cornwall, who own this land, and also the Prince of Wales office for that to go ahead. They did receive that positive support, and that is why they're able to announce yesterday that this match would go on. It's only a 3-day game, so today is effectively the third day of this Test match, and 17 wickets have fallen. South Africa bowled out for 118, England 154 for 7, so they lead by 36 runs. An extraordinary day. The drama and the emotion of the first 20 minutes, with Laura Wright singing the national anthems with no accompaniment, solo and bare and raw, was something that I think that nobody here will ever forget. A cappella, 20-odd thousand people here, who, when she sang the home national anthem, the first time for many, featuring, of course, the word king rather than queen, everyone started to join in, and it gained momentum and gained volume. And at the end, there was this rousing applause that kept going on and on and on. A tribute, I'm sure, to the late Queen. And then the applause lifted even more when the players came onto the field. It was quite remarkable. And if you can find that somewhere, either a televised version or the radio version, all I'll say is that no one who was here today will ever forget those first 20 minutes. Then play began, and wickets just tumbled. They've tumbled all day. At one point, South Africa were 36 for 6. They lost Elgar for 1, Avea for 0, Peterson for 12, Rickleton 11, Ferreira for a duck, Mulder for 3. It was then a partnership between Zondo and Jansen, the tall left-handed all-rounder, which doubled the score. They put exactly 36 on. They took it to 72 for 7, at which point Zondo fell to Broad for 23. Jansen was the next to go. He was dropped by folks off Broad, but he was then taken by a root off Robinson for 30. Maharaj played a few shots for his 18, and Nokia, the last man out, for 7. 118 from 36.2 overs. That's the quickest first innings in a Test match at the Oval there's ever been, and it's the lowest first innings score in a Test match here at the Oval since England's 52 against Australia in that famous game in 1948 when Donald Bradman got a second ball duck. Ollie Robinson finished with 5 for 49, and Stuart Broad 4 for 41. The remaining wicket was picked up by Jimmy Anderson. So 118, and Ollie Robinson walked off showing the ball. I don't think he would imagine that he'd been batting at the end of the day, but he was 3 not out, because England lost Lees for 13, Crawley for 5 from 34 balls, Root for 23. He was caught flashing at Jansen. Terrific catch by Peterson at third slip. Brooks' first innings ended with a catch down at fine leg of a top-edged pull shot. Ben Stokes, well, he was back in his early season mode, really, charging the bowling. He was dropped a really difficult chance, a steepling, horrible catch to Elgar at mid-off, but it's Ben Stokes. You've got to try and take it, but again, a very tame swish outside the off stump, and he was caught at first slip. One of those, he didn't actually look back to see the fielder take the catch. He just nicked it and walked off. It was not Stokes' greatest innings by some margin. Out for 6, and out came the Nighthawk, Stuart Broad, and he was caught behind playing a pull shot off Rabada for 6. So Folkes 11, Robertson has 3. Let's start with you, Vernon, shall we? Because a visitor and very welcome. There's been this immense event here, which obviously you've witnessed, and which obviously your players have witnessed as well. What did you make of those first 20 minutes?
Yeah, I think it's certainly an emotional start to the day. I think, with all the tributes that's been pouring over the last 2 days and the uncertainty, whether this match was going to happen. I think, everyone was probably caught up in the moment as well. But yeah, I think, it was just, beautiful to be a part of it, to witness it. And I mean, it's not often, you often be sitting at home and, watch this sort of thing on television. But yeah, it's, wonderful to be a part of it. And I think, just walking in here this morning as well, the aura around it, the respect being shown towards, the late Queen Elizabeth II. It was wonderful to be a part of the moment.
Yeah, I think that's the word. It was respect. It was thoughtful, and she talked about sport being a unifying force. And there will be people who will be saying that this match shouldn't have happened today, and there should be more respect shown for that. But Mark, well, I mean, the crowd here spoke for itself.
Yes, absolutely. They've turned up in good numbers. It's been pretty much a full house, hasn't it, at the Oval today? And I'd agree. It's a momentous occasion. Of course, people, and there is a legitimate view for those who say, actually, no, maybe it shouldn't have gone ahead. But discussions held by ECB and the DCMS committee and the guidance, and a lot of thought and planning went into it. And I have to say, from my own point of view, this was a momentous occasion for the players. The emotions down there as the anthems were sung, the crowd really respectful, a somber atmosphere, but a unifying atmosphere. That's what came over to me. And to be a player, or as a cricket fan, as I am, to be part of it and witness it, it was a momentous occasion. And then, of course, we've seen some very entertaining cricket on the back of it.
We've seen some extraordinary cricket, haven't we? I mean, Vernon, do you think that we have obviously assessed things almost entirely from an England perspective because, well, she's our queen, and therefore it's our country that is in this place at the moment. But do you think that South Africa are kind of caught up in it as well? I mean, distracted in that sort of a way, in a sense in which they are a visiting team. This momentous event has happened. They are focused totally on playing cricket, and they're also due to go home after a pretty long tour on Tuesday. I mean, do you think any of that helps to explain the reason they were bundled out for 118?
No, I think you also have to give a lot of credit to England. I think this morning conditions were suitable for seam bowling, and they've exploited every single bit of it. I think if you have to go back and analyse some of those top order wickets, they were all good balls. So you sit back and you say to yourself, did the momentum get too big for them? Were they caught up in planning for the sort of event? I don't think you can in any way, shape or form plan for such an event. So for me, yes, that there were going to be a test match at some stage, however many days, were not up to them. There were also talks about a possible fourth day. So do you take their concentration away from that? But me looking back now in hindsight, those were good balls this morning that they had to deal with. And if you have to put them out there again, with similar sort of conditions, they'll probably find themselves in trouble again. So I think you have to give credit where credit is due. They've bowled wonderfully well this morning. They had an England seam attack, and they've asked all the right questions. And yes, of course, England probably had a bit more motivation, to play for, because there's been a lot of talk, of this game actually being called off, with all the other sporting events, being obviously postponed. So they had to make a play. And I think, I said it this morning, having lost the toss on Thursday, you had no option, to rock up here today but to bat. And you look at overhead conditions again, like I said, suitable for bowling. There's one team, I'm a firm believer that you can't really lose the game with ball in hand, in the first session, but you can do with bat in hand. And it was a massive session for South Africa. And you have to give a lot of credit to the England bowlers.
A 3-day game, Mark, and the first 2 tests were 3-day games, but they were scheduled for 5. This match did need to get going and to move quite quickly, because South Africa, if they just got themselves nicely batted through the first day, 250 for 4 at the close or something, that would have made it very difficult for England to have got back into the game. But when Dean Elgar, the captain, has his stump splattered almost immediately the play started, that just kind of got everything going, and the crowd roaring, England's spirits up, and that was the point where wickets began to clatter.
Yeah, it's almost as though fate has played its part here, and the England team, having gone through all those emotions before the start of play. They were out there together, 11 Englishmen together, and boy, did they get stuck in there. They bowled beautifully. They bowled an excellent line and length. They took their catches, and they really were on fire. I think before play, Ben Stokes would have been stressing to his team, look, we're exactly where we want to be. We've won the toss, and as Vernon was saying, these are bowler-friendly conditions. And England sort of believe that whatever we bowl out the opposition for, we're going to go in and play a few shots and try and knock them off. And so they'll believe that this pitch will get easier, that tinge of greenness that we've seen in it today, the pitch will whiten up over days 2 and 3.
A bit quicker, you think?
It possibly will get a bit quicker, but you'd expect slightly less lateral movement. That is all in England's favour, batting last, as we think they may well do. And so they were outstanding. They exploited the conditions, and I think their mentality, it just fits into what we've seen and heard this summer from the England camp. It absolutely fits for them to bowl first today and do exactly what they have done.
So we can talk about England's bowling now. Ollie Robertson obviously stands out there. He bowled for an hour and a half in that first spell. He just bowled beautifully. He's just someone who you've seen, you can just sort of wind him up like a clockwork at the back there, and just wind him up, and he just has this beautiful, smooth, effortless rhythm.
Yeah, well, perhaps he'd been watching a few videos of Vernon Philander in his pomp. Who knows? Yeah. But you're absolutely right. Look, he's always looked, he's had an easy, free-flowing run-up and action. I think that the added fitness that has been spoken about publicly has given more durability. I don't necessarily make him a quicker bowler, but it's going to make his spells, his third spell, fourth spell, more significant. I think his fitness allowed him to bowl for an hour and a half today, and he sustained his excellent line and length. He bowls from sort of quite wide of the crease, and we saw a lot of wobble seam deliveries, yes, which batsmen can line up swing, but when the ball moves off the seam from that angle, it's really tricky to know what to play, what to leave. From wide of the crease, the ball is angled in, and it can seam back at you or it can seam away towards a slip. And you have to really know where your off stump is. You have to play tight and late. And in these conditions, and it has to be said, against a very inexperienced South African batting lineup. Really, when you're best player,
two replacements there, 4 and 5. I know they had to make one, and they've taken a bit of a punt, haven't they? I guess with the other, but. It did look vulnerable in that middle order.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you'd have licked your lips if you were the team attack. But just coming back to Ollie Robinson, I think he's got such natural attributes, wonderful attributes, and with the ball swinging away from about fourth stump and the one then angling back as a batsman, he's challenging both sides of the edge, and you're always going to be in the game as a bowler. But coming back to your point. From a South African context, I think you needed to get the top order out. If you got Elgar, Ervier and Peterson out, that there was always going to be question marks, with a couple of debutants, and also Ryan Rickelton, very early on in his Test career. So, a lot of question marks for South Africa, and I think that's probably the big concern for them is their top order batting, top order / middle order. They haven't fired this series, and they had to really bank on their bowlers to get themselves into the contest. I think the big danger for me, with them going into obviously bowling against England was that they were always going to be searching for those wicket-taking deliveries, and I think Kagiso Rabada probably guilty of that. He's leaked a lot of boundaries, a lot of soft boundaries in my view, because he's looking to bowl England out, and a lot of credit to England again. They were up for it. They looked busy, and I think the innings that Ollie Pope played out there, there wasn't a lot of big strokes. He looked to rotate the strike, was really busy. When the bad ball presented itself, he took full advantage of it. So for me, that's probably the way to go about it. And we always, there's a lot of talk about this Bears ball, rubbish to me, but I think he's invented his own way of playing, and you talk about you talk to a lot of cricket purists. They'd far rather want to see that sort of innings than someone that's going to run down the track, and your percentage of being successful is a lot higher in that regard. So a lot of credit to the way he's played, but I think the difference in the two bowling attacks, it's probably Kagiso Rabada going for a few too many, and
8 over he went for to start with.
You take half of those runs away, you'll find England will probably be a little bit behind South Africa at this moment, with being 7 down, and you really back yourself. I mean, they still would back themselves, having them 154 for 7. But I think probably just a few too many in the runs column for Kagiso.
At the start of this summer, Mark, I think a lot of people might have imagined that actually, the Oval Test, last of the summer, last of the series, there was a good chance it might have been the end of Broad and Anderson. They walk off together, nice ovation and so on. Doesn't feel like that now, does it, for either of them? I mean, and you look at the winter that's ahead. There's a couple of tests in New Zealand. There's, of course, a test series in Pakistan, but I'm pretty sure Stuart Broad won't go on that. He's going to have a baby. They'll be around for the Ashes, won't they? Next summer, it just feels on they go.
Very much looks that way. They continue to defy the ageing process, don't they?
Yeah, 4 for 41, Broad.
He was outstanding today. He probably bowled a little bit more different lengths and lines than I've seen him. I'm not saying he sprayed it around, but he this attacking mantra that Ben Stokes says, look, don't worry about runs, just go for wickets. He was full and straight. He was short and wide. He was making things happen. He moved the ball around a lot off the seam, wide of the crease, and he got his rewards. They're such true professionals, Broad and Anderson. They are so dedicated to their fitness regimes, their rest and recuperations. Yeah, they're showing fantastic longevity. Of course, England will have to have half an eye on a transition. You've got Potts waiting in the wings, who's had a taste as well. Robinson has come to the fore and looks a like-for-like replacement for one of them. Hopefully, things are looking good in terms of the future. But they will be tested, of course, in the winter on drier, flatter surfaces.
Yeah, maybe you get a Wood or an Archer back as well, and you've got Stokes. I mean, you can see that there is an attack that could form after these two, but it just doesn't feel that they're just going to carry on. That's how it feels anyway. Let's talk then about England's batting, shall we? Leeds 13, Crawley 5 from 34 balls. I mean, they actually were they were trying to be positive, I felt. And Root again, and we look at the way he got out, chasing a wide one, and Brook, because. I mean, do you think that England felt that they were chasing the game a bit too hard today? They were really saying to South Africa, we're after you. This is where you're going to be. You're going to be way behind by tomorrow tea time or something. We're going to blow you away again. I mean, do you think England approached that innings in the right way?
I think the chat would have undoubtedly been, look, we want to be aggressive. The ball is moving around. We want to try and dictate terms by playing a little bit like Ollie Pope did. Looking for those quick singles, the odd chassé down the pitch to try and disrupt the bowler's line and length, but it's getting the balance right. And Alex Lees was probably he's a good example of that, because he unfurled a fantastic cover drive. He was fed a couple of leg stump clips by Rabada, but the ball he got out to, he pushed very, very hard out in front of himself, bat away from his body to a good length ball.
Yeah.
So that's where I think the aggressive intent, it's right, but you've still got to be really decisive about, is the ball there to hit or not? And in that dismissal, he was out pushing away from his body. So Crawley's actually gone the other way. He's trying to sort of play the long game in a more traditional fashion, and he was out to a good ball, full length delivery that nipped back into him. So I think England's approach. Look, Ollie Pope rode his luck, but he unfurled some good shots. There are some players who have been out today that will look back on their dismissals and their innings and think, I got the balance wrong. It's one thing to show aggressive intent, but you've still got to execute when the ball is there and when it's not there to hit.
Thanks to Mark and to Vernon. Let's get some reaction then from the England camp now. Alison Mitchell has been speaking with Stuart Broad.
Well, Stuart, can I take you right back to the very start of the day, the 10-minute build-up, the silence, the anthems? What was that like for you?
Yeah, it felt an incredible mark of respect from the whole stadium, didn't it? It was pretty special. Every player commented on it, actually, when we walked down the stairs, and it was silence in the Oval. I don't know how many are in, but 25, 30,000, just silence. And walking out to sing the national anthem felt right to be here, actually. It felt like sport can bring people together in tough times and show respect and actually celebrate the Queen's life, and she loved her sport, and it felt great walking onto the field, almost wearing the badge with the crown on, together as a group. It felt like the right thing to do, and I think every player was delighted when the game was decided that it would continue.
Could you allow yourselves to feel moved by it, feel emotional, given you had to go out and do a job straight after?
Of course, yeah. I mean, it's hard not to be emotional at moments like that. It's you feel like you're in it at times like this with your teammates and your family and everyone in the stadium. So yeah, I mean, it's singing the national anthem. I think everyone felt emotional doing that, and I think it was very special looking around the stadium to see a lot of faces in here who felt it felt right to be here in a cricket stadium. So yeah, it was a really good day. It felt like everyone felt like we were sort of showing a lot of respect to the Queen's life and celebrating her life with playing a sporting game.
And you started playing very successfully as well. Could you almost translate that emotion into performance? Do you think it almost helped going onto the field and the wickets began falling very quickly? Yeah,
I mean, it went from silence, didn't it, for 10 minutes to some roars when the wickets started falling. And the Oval crowd are always like that, support us and get behind us and cheer us on. And, they were very bowler-friendly conditions all the way through today. So we knew that we had a chance to get early wickets. And with a 3-day test match, we had to. We had to move the game forward. Stokesy and the team are not interested in a draw. We want a result. We want to put the South Africans under as much pressure as possible and get a positive result for the team. And to do that, we had to get early wickets. So to have them 6 down at lunch, we were thrilled. And we played in the bat with a style of a team that want to get a lead and get bowling again to put the South Africans under pressure with the bat again. So, yeah, we're really happy with the position we're in. I thought Robbo bowled really well, Popey batted really well, and tomorrow we need a couple more guys to stand up and have good days, and we'll be in a great position.
And 4 wickets for you puts you level with Glenn McGrath on the Test wicket takers list. What does that mean to you? Yeah,
I mean, he's a hero of mine. I loved watching Glenn bowl when I was a kid growing up, and he's someone that I copied in the garden and wanted to be like. So I feel like I probably don't deserve to be in his sort of category with the amount of wickets. I mean, obviously he played a few less games than me. He was a much better bowler than me, but it feels very special to be up there. And I think to get one more and join my great mate Jimmy to be the sort of 2 leading seamers on that wicket tally list would be really special and would mean a lot to both of us, I think, because we've been playing a long time now, and we're still loving it. We're still really enjoying this team environment, and having sort of successful results through this summer has given us both a real lift.
Ollie Robinson did bowl fantastically for his career best 5-wicket haul. You seem to have adapted very well to being change bowler with the wickets you've taken in the last match and now here today. Is that the case? Yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed doing it. It's a slightly different role.
Jimmy and I have bowled in tandem for long periods of time, and there's moments in time when you need to let other bowlers grow and have opportunities. It's one of those. If we're playing the Ashes tomorrow and David Warner was opening the batting, I think I'd be bowling with the new ball. We just have to adapt and change to different scenarios and situations. But I feel like my game's suited to coming on first change and trying to keep the pressure on that the 2 guys have set in the first opening spells. So, yeah, I've adapted to it quite nicely, actually. And, the pitches that we've played on against South Africa have been quite bowler-friendly. And we're looking forward to having another crack tomorrow. And what made, do you think, Ollie Robinson so difficult to handle today? Good question. I mean, I think every bowler's nipped the ball quite a long way today, haven't they? But he's so accurate with where he nips the ball from and gets great bounce because he's got a short delivery stride, so he gets real bounce to catch the edge. And he's a very talented bowler. He's got a really good Test record from the short period of time he's been playing, and he's someone who's going to just keep growing and keep getting different experiences on different pitches. You get him on a pitch like this, he's always going to be able to expose the movement in a pitch, and he's got every attribute you'd want as a fast bowler in Test match cricket. He's relentless and consistent, and he looks in really good rhythm at the minute. When you'd bowled South Africa out for 118, was the initial plan or idea try and bat once, bowl them out again, and South Africa now rather put a spoke in the wheel? To be honest, we didn't really look that far ahead. We just said let's play with an attacking mindset, look to score runs. If you let bowlers just lob it on a length, 6 balls out of 6. There's going to be a ball with your name on it on this pitch, and it might be different tomorrow. The great thing about Test cricket is how pitches change with character, and as a player you have to adapt to that. But so we'll be coming up with an open coming out there tomorrow with an open mind. But the batting style was very much, let's get as many runs as we can, as quick as we can. Not focused about batting once and trying to bowl South Africa out. Actually, we're very happy chasing on what could be a day 3 oval pitch. We're very comfortable doing that. So it was, try and put the South African bowlers under pressure, score a quick raid to move the game forward.
Well done for your fourfer. Good luck for the rest of the match.
Thank you.